Casual Magic has been sponsored by Quiver, maker of the Quiver and Bolt deck cases and other fine deck holding accessories. Use the code CASUAL on their website for 10% off your order. We're also sponsored by Architect, the premier site for hosting your decks on the internet. I love them and they love me, and it seems like a good reason for you to use them. This episode is also brought to you by Monopool, a fast-growing marketplace for Magic the Gathering that makes buying and selling cards easy. Their optimizer helps you get the best value when buying cards, and their team is focused on making it a great experience for buyers and sellers alike. You can also support Casual Magic directly by going to our Patreon at patreon.com/ShivamB. And now, on with the show. Hello and welcome to Casual Magic, the show where we talk about the fun side of Magic together. My name is Shivam, Bhatt, and Casual Magic is brought to you by Architect and Quiver and by Monopool, as well as my patrons at patreon.com/ShivamB. Thank you to everybody who supported me. Because of you guys, I'm able to do this continuously and actually make enough to be able to get away with just doing this, which is kind of rad. Today, I'm really hyped to have an very interesting person on, because I was like, okay, so I'm talking to Kyle of Cute Monster Props. Basically, all of you guys have seen the trophies that we give out during the cosplay contest at Magic Cons, or like, I don't know, the Pro Tour winning trophy of the sick looking Planeswalker symbol made out of glass and everything like that, or the giant Chandra Chocobo. Somebody has to make all those, and it turns out that it's actually Kyle over here. And so I'm actually really hyped to talk about this, because sculpting and sculpture is one of my secret passions that I've got no good reason to ever talk about. So I'm really, really interested in learning the art and science in making like all these cool trophies out of card art and things like that. I think it's just a fascinating thing to do. So thank you so much for joining me today, dude.
Thank you. Yes. By and large, the Magic community has put their butt on my stuff more than they've made eye contact with me. I'm not a person that gets interfaced with. But you've probably sat on something I worked hard on.
That is more innuendo than this show normally gets. Well, you say sat on. What did you make that people would have sat on?
You familiar with this? The Whatley's Raptor.
Oh, I have ridden Whatley's Raptor at like 4 different conventions.
Oh yeah,
that thing is huge and amazing.
It's very big. It is actually just big enough to be like almost impossible to get out of the back door. We got to be very careful with the size of the crate.
Do you keep all these things and then just bring them out to the shows?
Oh no. Once they're out the door, they're not our problem anymore. I think Wizards probably has a storage facility somewhere. So I
would bet that they have all of their con props and stuff in a very big warehouse and just ship it around to wherever they need to go to. But that's a great lead in, dude. Like that Raptor, I remember seeing it at MagicCon Philly. I think it was the first time, and everybody was just in awe of this gigantic dinosaur. And like, I know like some of my friends jumped on the back and we're starting to like, we could take pictures on this thing. I definitely took a few pictures on top of that thing. And then like, I think Wizard staff was like, you can't ride this. And then like, they bring you back the next con. You can ride this now. No, it's okay. Really. Can you walk me through how you make a gigantic rideable Raptor statue?
Yeah. I'm glad you asked, because it's, when you're crawling up the thing, you don't really think too hard about that. You're mostly just excited to be on the dinosaur.
Yeah, but it's so big.
So for that one's a bit different than the typical stuff we do. So to put it in context, I work at Vulpin Props. That's the studio that does all of the Pro Tour trophies, all of the cosplay championship trophies, and the majority of the statues for MagicCons and the like. So for something like that, for a large statue that you're meant to interact with, like walk on, sit on, stand on, things like that, that's a 3D model that we have one of our modelers in-house work on. And they design it such that it can be milled out of a foam. And we have a service that does that for us. They mill the foam, they hard coat it in basically just epoxy. So just a hardening glue. And they send that to us, and it's just a lumpy mess that looks vaguely like a raptor. All is one piece mostly. We had like a couple of separate pieces. So that it was easier to assemble. Like the claws, that would be such a fine, spindly little detail. We printed that in-house and glued that on after the fact, so it'd be simpler. But you get the idea. We get the different parts, we put them together with a lot lot of reinforcement. As we've done more con stuff, we've really learned like what are the stress points, because holy cow,
Yeah.
nothing gets beat up more than something that's got to get like interacted with by several thousand people.
Well, because like think about it, the worst thing you can imagine is some kid climbing up on that raptor and it falling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or some me riding up on the raptor and it falling.
No, we definitely have to design them in mind that like people who like might not be used to rock climbing or something have to
Mm-hmm.
easily be able to access
Yeah. So
up
like,
the thing.
did you have a model or a picture that you were given to draw this off of?
Yeah, for that one, I wasn't as familiar with the style guide they gave our modeler, but yeah, typically when we're working like with something like that, we might get some of the concept art, the card art. It really depends on the project. So, for example, when we're working on something like the recent Sword of Body and Mind,
Mm.
the thing that you are picturing in your head right now, that card art, that's basically all we got.
Well, that's the only card art we have, right? Like,
Exactly. Well, there might be
there's
something
like
from like,
three. Okay, there's like
yeah,
three
but the
Sword of
main
Body and
one.
Mind, but there's only
Mhm.
one good one. So like, well,
But
that's controversial, I guess. But I
we just don't
Swords
say
of
which
X and
one.
Y are like my favorite cards in Magic. So
Oh, they're such an iconic thing too. But
yeah.
so yeah, something like that, we don't get a lot of really room to work off of. So we have to go kind of back and forth a lot with wizards. And this is true for literally any client we have. It's a lot of figuring out like where their lines are, what they're really looking for, and uh often how to translate what a client wants into like, hey, this needs to exist in real life. You understand that,
Mm.
right? And that can be a hard thing to parse, because until you actually have to realize like the Chandra Chocobo, it's not a big statue, but once you scale it to about the size of a person, the head is the size of a sofa.
Oh my god.
And that thing has to balance. You have to have like metal beams in that thing so it doesn't just topple over because its neck is just cracking from the strain of its giant noggin.
But it's also beautiful and funny and quirky and like it's weird. Like you know, i you might not understand this, but one of the things that like people have been having a lot of like hesitation over Universe Beyond stuff, like Spider-Man and all these other things have been very controversial and very troubling. Those two chocobos, the Jace and the Chandra Chocobo, went in did insane amounts of work in making sure that these were like accepted uh and beloved properties in Magic, because they like integrated both Magic and Final Fantasy in a way that looks sick. And like when you see the actual statue, it's just like, oh man, that is gorgeous. It looks like a beautiful little toy that I want to own, except it's huge.
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
I don't know if it is one to one based off of it or it was just a reference, but the little pet you can get in Arena was
Yes,
basically like,
it's the exact same thing.
yeah.
I know
So
because
proportionally
that's the
that,
pet I
yeah.
use. uh,
But
so
yeah, I think that did give a lot of goodwill to it. That it was very magic forward.
yes, it feels like it feels like both, right? Like it feels like a Magic and it feels like Final Fantasy in a way that feels respectful to both of them. And I think that goes a long way. Like I'm not saying we needed Jace to be web slinging around, but maybe that would have been cool.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the point that like, yeah, we get to see Spider-Man and Magic, but we don't get to see the Magic characters in anything else. Like,
Exactly that. Exactly. Like I think it would be sick if Wizard would actually go out of their way to integrate our characters into other worlds. Like I would love to see what a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Gideon would look. Okay,
I
well,
mean,
maybe not.
we
Maybe
did
not
that with
that one.
Bloomborough basically.
Yeah,
So,
basically that.
hmm
Uh,
yeah, I am just genuinely surprised that I feel like the way to go with sort of brand management is the classy, you know, 10 episode miniseries that really like reinvigorates the fan base and draws people in. I would have figured like, I mean, I'm sure they're trying to do with that with a movie, but
they've been trying to do that with a movie, a TV series, comic books for a billion
I
years.
I don't envy whoever has to make that work. I just feel
And
like that seems to be the style these days is everyone wants their own Arcane, but
I mean, everybody's wanted their own Arcane before it was even Arcane, right?
just make it Arcane. How hard can it be?
How hard could it be? Just
It
throw
only took a
riot
bunch of
money
French
at it.
people 6 years, so
I mean, here's the thing though, like when you look at the era of Magic that was Magic Origins through Ixalan, where they had one story and they had the Oath of the Gatewatch and all that stuff, that was very much meant to be a unified branding opportunity that would then go turn into a movie and TV series and stuff like that, because it was one long continuous story with characters that you follow. And it fell through because, Hollywood chooses to do what Hollywood chooses to do. But like that would have been the perfect time to do a full on integrated story into this world. But this is the world we live in now. So how did you get like how did you learn how to do this? Because this is not like it's not like you got a block of marble that you have to carve out of. You have to like take things that people draw that are very unrealistic and weird looking and then turn them into life-sized things.
That's a great question because I don't know if I have an answer for you. Just do it. So I went to school to be for geography to get into environmental science. Before I was doing special effects work, I was trying to get a job doing with like FEMA, doing things like disaster management or like
because that
mapping
totally
resources.
leads right into making film.
Exactly. Just a 1-2 step. There's just a couple of question marks in between. But obviously, cosplay was a hobby of mine. I liked going to the local anime con scene back when I was living in the Dallas area, and it was just something that was very gratifying. You know, when you think about it, like when you're sanding something, you start out with something that looks terrible, and in a couple of hours, it looks sort of better than when you started. Like it is a very one-to-one. The amount of effort and labor you put in will get you something better. And that was really gratifying. And I love, sort of the artistry of bringing something to life. It's very fascinating to solve those problems.
Okay,
and from there,
I'm sorry. No, keep going. I was interrupting.
Well, from there, it just sort of led naturally to pushing myself. And when a local studio was looking for work, I transitioned from getting yelled at for telling people we're going to work on the trees in your yard next to the electric poles. And went to sanding stuff.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question that may seem obvious, but is also seems to have a lot of overlap. Which
Please.
is to say, are you a cosplayer, and were you ever making cosplay stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I don't cosplay as much, but I dabble. I cosplay. And I for a time was taking commissions and things like that. For full-on costumes, and now I mostly focus on doing my own runs of statues and figures and doing private commissions sometimes. But like I have a store where I have like a little arcane signet that I sell with a little command sphere on the back, just stuff like that.
You gave me one of those.
Yep.
That is so sick, and I've been looking for it for like weeks now. Because all the stuff that came back disappeared in my house.
That's okay. I just moved. I don't know where anything is. So.
Yeah, dude, the thing is gorgeous. I loved it because I was I am a fidgeter, and that's like the perfect weight to just be flippy.
Well,
so
and all of this,
made me very happy.
All of this stuff is just like, I want this. What will it take to do this? If I sell 30 of these, I break even. So let's see if I can make it happen.
Yeah. No, the only reason I ask is because like I've talked to a lot of cosplayers on this show, and it seems like a lot of your skills are similar to the skills that people who make like costumes would be. Like if you're trying to make a costume of Raul Zarek or something like that, and you're using foam and sculpting to make his armor and all that stuff, it's just you're using maybe more sturdy materials than a cosplayer might.
And even then, like, I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes we'll do foam stuff, but we're doing the more expensive stuff just because it's meant to survive a little bit more. But it's 3D prints, it's resin casting, molding. It's all it's special effects. It's all the same stuff.
Dude, you say that so nonchalantly, but this is so cool.
Well, thank you.
This is unbelievably cool, dude. Like, I don't know, have you seen the swords that you've made? They're rad. They're rad.
It's weird because you have to look at them so close that you kind of like lose sight of like the whole object.
That's like the thing. Like sometimes folks, like especially artists, will get so up in their own business that they don't realize that the thing they're making is fundamentally awesome. And it's like, oh yeah, this is cool. And you're like, yeah, but I could have done a better job. But that's like,
oh, we're good at beating ourselves up. I literally, the conversation I had before that was my wife like saying like, oh, I don't think I did my best sewing work on my last project. And I was like, no, stop it. You're good at what you do. If you thought it was the best work you've ever done, then you've peaked and you can't improve. So
yeah, right. Like, come on. it's funny because like the story I like to tell is that the artist Jason Rainville drew a sketch of me on one of the first proofs he ever got, and like he drew me dressed up like a 16th century Mughal soldier, and it was sick because I was like, just draw me a soldier token, but he was like, draw you a soldier, and I'm like, no, that's not what I meant, but I'll take it. And I met him 10 years later in Amsterdam, and I showed him the card, and he's like, I hate this art so much. You keep
Oh,
posting it. I'm like, I'm gonna stab you in the stomach. This is my favorite thing I own. What the hell's wrong with you? Uh, and he gave me one. He's like, so I did a better one, and I'm like, okay, well,
there you go.
touche, but stop talking like that.
One time at work, we had to repair an old prop for Bethesda, just had been through the ringer. And getting it back was like the equivalent of my boss bringing his baby photos. It was like, oh, look at what you used to look like. Just because it was, a prop from 10 years ago. And of
Right,
course,
you've gotten
turns out you
so
get a
much better.
little bit better.
Exactly that. It's always wild to look back at your old art and go like, oh my God, ooh, that was wild. Um, I'm going to make a short aside really quickly. I was just going through your pictures on your Blue Sky because I'm looking at this because they look really sick. And you mentioned Mega Man Battle Network 2, which was the first game that I got to write a preview about when I joined One Up in 2000 and
It's
whatever
a
the hell
good
it was.
game. Good
Oh
game.
my
Not a
God.
day goes by that I don't think of that hometown theme.
I wrote an essay about that game. It was really, really good.
You'll have to link me to that. I love that.
Well,
game.
I'm sure it's off the internet now because
Oh,
One Up
it's
doesn't
probably
exist anymore.
if you didn't save it, it's probably
Yeah,
scrapped
it was
by
like,
now.
I wrote it like 20 years ago. The internet remembers only so much, but yeah, like because I was fresh out of college and out of like literary criticism, and I'm applying like Derrida and stuff to friggin' Battle Network, and it's like, okay, maybe I was a little up my own ass, but like it was still fun. That being said, that being said, so it looks like though that like you and your the company you work with basically do a lot of like work with video game companies and like other nerd property type of things. Is that right?
Yeah, Vulpin Props does a lot of the esports trophies for Riot Games, Apex Legends, Magic the Gathering, of course, and a number of statues for things like Bandai Namco. So we get all over, but yeah, esports trophies is I think what kind of pays the bills, and
Yeah,
then we do statues from time to time, just because that's a lot of labor, a lot of man hours.
yeah.
Um, something so big, you have to hire in so many contractors to get it done in a short
Is
amount of
that a
time.
snake head behind you?
Yeah, it is. Oh. you don't have one?
I as a Hindu priest, I have more random snake statues in my house than you
That's
would expect.
true. That's true.
However, nothing like a gigantic snake head.
Well, secretly, it's just to cover the mess I've been making because I just moved. So, yeah,
Fair.
it's a foam. Hold on.
Oh, it's hollow.
Yeah, it was for Dragon Con. It was when Elden Ring had just come out, and it's a foam sculpture of the snake people
Goodness.
from that game. Yeah, so
That is a big hollow. Oh my God, it's like a head.
Oh yeah, you can see through it, not well, but
That's horrifying.
for the audio listeners, Kyle just lifted up a large orange snake head.
Yeah, dude, it looked really sick. It's very hollow. Yeah, I was just looking at them like, because I mean, I'm just staring behind you. I'm like, what the hell is that worm on the thing behind you?
Again, all the I just place cool stuff gingerly to cover up trash and boxes. So
luckily, most people just put the YouTube video behind their Excel spreadsheets and listen because it's mainly audio podcast, so it doesn't really matter. But that's fine. And how long have you been doing this?
So Vulpin has been the better part of it's 8 years this year.
Oh,
and I've been doing special effects work professionally for about 10, and then
cool.
cosplay for several years more than that. But
sure. When did you start playing, or do you play Magic? When did you start?
Oh yeah, you don't usually get to choose if you like the kind of stuff you work on, but with Magic, I did get lucky.
Well, that's very convenient.
Listen, I'm sure Sword Art Online is lovely. I liked the way the swords looked when I made them, but it's just not for me. But yeah, it's not my job to like the stuff I work on. But yes, no, my first set was Onslaught block.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I can be like a little magic boomer about it. The first product I ever bought was this green-white spirits deck that put auras on spirits so they couldn't die to damage.
I love it.
And that felt like it was breaking the rules for me. And then from there on, like Magic, I was like, what? You can do that?
So
Uh,
yeah, okay. You were saying?
Oh, and then I took a break after that and got back around Innistrad, which I feel like is probably one of the most common sentiments you'll hear.
Dude, I
And
took a break right after Weatherlight, and I also came back around Innistrad because like that was when the Xbox Duels of the Planeswalkers was out.
yeah,
That was when like I don't know what happened. I think Duels of the Planeswalkers did a lot, but also it being just a zombies and vampires and like classic monsters, somehow it just ended up pervading the cultural
no,
atmosphere
I
at the
think
time.
you're right. I think it was because you're right. Like I had a roommate that was playing that game at the time. They were
Yeah.
not into Magic, but it's a fun game.
Yeah, and
And
everybody
then
was like, "Oh, I played Magic as a kid. Oh, it's still going.
yeah,
Yeah, I should check out the thing. Oh, it's about vampires and zombies. Great."
I
And
think
everybody came back.
the marketing around then was really pushing. Like they were doing a lot more like mixed media, a lot more than just like a couple of magazine ads.
Yeah. No, they actively went out. I mean, I like to call that time like the second great acquisition period of Magic fans behind like Alpha or whatever, right? Like cuz that was
Yeah,
when like the huge rush of people came in, and then the uh the pandemic was another like epic moment of just because people got nothing better to do. Here's Arena,
yeah.
happy birthday. Um but yeah, so you started doing as like these statues and special effects and things. Did you like were you working there before they got the Magic contract, or did you like get there afterwards?
It was afterwards. So like my boss did the old Pro Tour trophy, which is sort of a long, spindly cylinder with a collar and a squiggly flame.
Yes.
Um,
I remember that. Was that the one that was in the 2016 like Kaladesh World or whatever?
yes, and then also if you know the card Fervent Champion,
Yes.
yeah, Javier Dominguez was like so elated that he won that he wanted the sword to be the trophy. So that's that one we made. That was before my time, and I joined right
Wait, he
after.
wanted the sword to be the trophy?
Or so he wanted the sword to be the trophy in the card art when he's like the knight raising his fist. So if you look at it, I don't have it here, but yeah,
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
he's basically holding a Pro Tour
Oh,
trophy,
he is. How have I
and it's
never
got a
seen it?
big flame shooting out of it.
Yeah, it is exactly that. It's the Pro Tour trophy with like if it was the hilt of a lightsaber or something. I've stared at this card a million and one times and I've never noticed that before. Uh
Now, I one of these days I want to take the old 3D model and just make that version of it. But
yeah. Yeah, that would be sick. Because I was at that Pro Tour when he won, because that was the Kaladesh 2016 or whatever, at PAX. It was really, really sick. The trophy looked so like glass blowing is one of my like I love glass blowing, sculpting, and like I've been like I inherited my wife's grandfather's stained glass making like
ooh,
workshop basically. So I have like all these tools and glass bits and stuff, and I've been teaching myself how to work with glass, and glass blowing and stuff like that is super cool to me. So like when they started making the blown glass trophies, I was like, this is the coolest thing in the world. I need to just become a world class pro so I can get one of these.
so
Uh,
you've done something very funny to me, which is very flattering too. It's actually resin, so
it looks like glass. It
yeah,
really.
and no, but we have to polish the heck out of it. We use like a clear coat that's designed for like cars, so it can
Mm,
protect against UV rays and things like that. And that way, also since it's resin, you can flick it a little bit, and it's not just going to shatter.
right.
Um,
Yeah,
but
if it was
no, I
actual
mean,
glass, it would like probably just smash or
my
like
wife makes these resin horns, cosplay accessories, and people will come up and like, I love that this glass is so beautiful, and she's like, it's not, thank you, but
well,
so
you get high gloss enough resin, I guess, and
oh
you
yeah,
polish the living crap out of it and
exactly.
it will shine. Uh,
But
but
no,
it
I
sure
mean, thank
looks
you.
like blown
That's extremely
glass.
flattering.
Well, congratulations, man. You made it
Mhm.
look like real glass, and I'm like but I think making it out of resin feels smarter because if you're in transit with a giant glass trophy, that seems very dangerous.
Something you don't think about too is like with a lot of these trophies and stuff like that, practically like a day goes into just packing it
Oh, yeah.
sometimes.
Like, because that's the thing, because I hang out with Scott Larrabee a lot, and Scott's he's a guy who used to be on the rules committee for EDH, but also runs the Pro Tour for the past 20 something years. And I remember hanging out with him backstage once, and I saw this gigantic like trunk next to him on wheels with like, and I was like, what the hell is that? And he's like, oh, that's a Pro Tour trophy. And I was like, really? That thing? He's like, yeah, it's basically a big foam packing, like full of like padded material, and it's got a cutout for the trophy.
Yeah, a
And
big game changer for us because we used to build a lot of our own crates, but now we just order these like really industrial camera slash
yeah,
gun
like
cases.
I used to use those when I worked at Sony PlayStation to
Yeah,
do exactly that for transporting cameras and video equipment and stuff like
it's
that.
better than a roadie case for sure. So,
Yeah. God, I've had so many of those stupid things. They're so heavy and they hurt,
mhm.
but they do the job and they keep your tape safe. So here we go. Um, it's amazing the random skills you pick up in your life that you never know you're gonna like just never gonna use again. But I know
Our
how to.
last new hire at Vulpin, I remember like when he was in his training period, I turn to him and I say, "Hey, the project we're on right now, it's like not typical. I'm sorry. Like these are a little. We don't usually do this. It was a weird mask or something."
Mm,
And when he joined full time, we did another thing that was like, "Hey, we've never done anything like this," and it just. It's just kind of the joke that like every day we're learning something new, we're doing something new, and like the other week I was just like, please, I don't want to learn new information right now. I just want to do what I already know. Please, I want to stop learning.
what do you like making?
Me personally, I like designing something to be produced in like a small run. So I
Mm,
like doing statues where you have to figure out like how can I maximize the shape? How can I design this so that I can cast maybe 20 of these and make one
mm.
for me? Um, One of the things I do for kind of on my own time is if you watch Games Done Quick, I do a lot of their grand
I watch a
prizes.
lot of games done quick. I
So
am a speed run junkie. I mean,
um, so
everybody watches GDQ. It's the best stuff in the world, man. Come on.
It's so good at that. So yeah, I do. If it's a metal sword, that ain't me. But if it's anything else that size, it's usually me or my wife or a friend of mine. So
Didn't you make the Zelda sword?
yeah, I did the Zelda sword. I did a Fallout laser rifle. My wife did the big cartoony spiral staff from the most recent Zelda game.
Yes.
Uh,
The
so
the one with Zelda in it.
yeah, the one where Zelda's a girl.
Yeah, like that game was actually hella fun.
It was great.
Yeah, it's like it turned out that making beds is the best thing you can possibly do in that
Pro
game. And
strat, really. Make your
it's
bed, everyone.
you feel real stupid when you're just like climbing cliffs on beds, but you know, it works.
Mhm.
Anyways, that being notwithstanding though, like cuz I like you make also all these like little coins, like the one you just had, the
Mhm.
arcane signet, or I didn't know that you were the guy who made the little slime coins because like Dragon Quest slimes are my
Oh.
absolute favorite thing in the world, and I have a collection of like hundreds of them over the course of years since I when I lived in Japan. And actually, my fidget on my desk is a heavy metal slime paperweight.
Oh, beautiful.
So if I had known that, I would have told you to give me one of those instead. But yeah, like how do you make those things? Because like, oh my god, they're the casino coins.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
make
so it's
casino
the
coins.
coin I designed, it's the mini metal on one side and it's the casino
Yes.
coin on the other.
Oh my god, I love those.
Mhm.
I have spent
Um,
way too much time in that goddamn
mhm.
casino.
When you touch it, it also goes dun 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 dun. It
What, you
does, I
made
swear, I
music in there?
promise. Oh, no, I'm just if I could,
Dude,
I
like,
would.
you know what? You're like you could say anything and I would fully believe you.
I could make like a stand or something, but anyway, for the coins and stuff like that, that's it. Kind of depends on the project, but usually I'll design something via Illustrator or a 3D model
Mhm,
and send it out to a factory, and
mhm.
they do the mold. It presses the metal. I tell them what finish I want, and as you can imagine, it's a little bit more difficult right now. I've had to put that on pause,
Yeah,
and
because you can't, like, the tariffs being what it is makes that, like, importing small little trinkets like this probably prohibitively ridiculous.
Yeah, it's awful and stressful, and it's basically just the nature of politics is such that now I just have to just take a 40 or 50% pay cut if I wanna do more of those.
That's kind of
Um,
insane.
it
Like,
sucks, but, I haven't made anything this year, but I'm also trying to get through a pretty big, commission, so that'll be good, but I'm hopeful that I can hold out, and things will get better politically such that I can do more runs like that, but
I know a lot of, people who make, small things on Etsy or toy companies or just, like, really, honestly, anybody who's making things these days is not in a great place in
It's ru
America.
I want to be creative and whimsical and cool, I make maybe 100 of these things, so I can sell, like, 30, and whatever happens to the rest, like, I brought, like, 12 out to of the arcane signets out to
Yeah,
MagicCon
it's so
just to
sick.
pass out, so
Dude, I'm pretty sure it's in the bottom of my backpack. I need to unpack. Um, you know how it is. You
Oh,
come home from like I've gone between Magic Cons without unpacking my backpack entirely, and I was like, "Oh, this is like chapstick from Barcelona. I probably should throw that out." But yeah,
I
like, go ahead.
I did want to mention while Dragon Quest is on the topic. I did make pilgrimage this year. I went to Japan for the first time, and I went to the Dragon Quest
This
island,
so
the theme park, and
oh,
I knew just enough Japanese to where I could understand the theme park design for babies.
oh my god, it's so good.
Hmm.
When I lived there, I went to the Square Enix store, and like you go into the store, and in the ground there's like a big giant Sephiroth floating in the blue goo, and then there's like infinite trillion slime things. And I filled my luggage. I lived in Tokyo for a year, and I came home with so many goddamn slimes. I have a little slime ice mold. I have metal slimes. I have stuffies, plushies, stickers, pen. I mean, I love Dragon Quest and I love slimes, and yeah, so
Sir, is there anything you want to declare? Shivam with 400 blue Hershey's Kisses pouring
no.
out of his bag.
You'll never catch me alive, Copper. No, they're legal in the country that they were made in. Please. Oh my god, dude, my bags were full of two things: slimes and Macross toys. And I was like, that's all I need in life is like transformable robots and teardrops.
I did
And then
definitely buy a lot of hobby supplies in Japan
yeah.
because, and I learned one of the most important phrases, which is "kore wa menze desu." It's this duty free.
Oh my god, dude. Um, God, the amount of crap that I came home with from Japan that even I can just look around. I've got next to me, and I'm not going to pull it down because it would require me to stand up and rearrange things. I've got an hourglass that is two slimes, like the two bulbs of the hourglass are
Beautiful.
slimes up down, and it's got the gray powder inside, so the slime fills like it's a metal slime
Oh
filling
my
at the bottom.
goodness.
It is it is one of the coolest things I own.
Oh my, yeah.
It's an egg timer with slimes.
I have a drinkware glass that's shaped like that, and any drink that's in it tastes a lot better. Let me tell you.
Yeah, like, you know, people say like, "God, Shivam, you talk a lot about yourself." I'm like, you know what? I don't get a chance to talk about all of my obsessions all the time, but this one, I'm like,
I didn't know you were a DQ fan. That's
oh my
fantastic.
god, dude! The creator of Dragon Quest showed up in America for Dragon Quest 6 and did a very very brief tour. One of the stops was in Palo Alto, which is very close to where I live,
Hmm.
and my friend and I slept overnight in front of a GameStop to be the first in line. And actually, we slept there, and then we're like, you know what, it'll be fine. And we just went home, and then came back at like 4 in the morning, and we were still like maybe fourth in line instead now. And we got there, and I brought like all 9 Dragon Quest games at the time, as well as a blank notebook. And he was like, yeah, we'll only be signing two things. And I was like, two things? I'm the first in line. He's like, yeah, well, I've got 5,000 people behind you. I'm like, reasonable and fair. So I had him sign Dragon Quest 4 because that's my favorite. And
Mm.
then I had him draw a slime in my sketchbook. So I have
He,
a slime drawn by the creator of Dragon Quest.
oh,
And everybody
that's
else is just looking
wonderful.
at me like, I should have thought of that. I'm like, yeah, but you didn't.
It's not hard to draw one of those bad boys either. So
No, it sure isn't, but it's like he's apparently done it so many times. He's like, "Oh, nobody's asked me to do that in America. That's cool." And I was like, "Yes, let's go."
beautiful.
Yeah, no, I'm a Dragon Quest going back to 1. Dragon Warrior on the Nintendo Power, free copy that everybody got when we subscribed in 1988 or whatever. Yes.
You command.
Dude, there was a GDQ run where
I
that guy
love that
beat
run.
Dragon Quest in like 12 minutes, and
have
it
you have you heard of the tech for beating? I think it's Dragon Quest 3 in under like 3 minutes.
no, I need to see that. That sounds amazing.
I'm deadly serious, Shivam. To beat Dragon Quest 3 on the Nintendo Entertainment System in 3 minutes, one requires a hot plate. You set your NES on top of it, and for some reason, when you mess with the board, it'll scramble the data such that when it like cools down or whatever, it will just jump you to the end credits.
That is the
It is.
dumbest
This
thing
is real.
I've ever
This
heard my
100% real.
life.
Try it with some other games. You might have luck. I don't know.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. But you know what? I believe that because if you like just because by heating it up, you're changing the way the electricity moves through the circuit. And I'm sure some weird, I just want to know how they, like,
It's
I
the same
believe it,
thing
but how
when
do
the
you
people.
find these
Yeah,
things?
I've seen videos of people that will like get into a random encounter in an RPG on like Final Fantasy 1 and like take the cartridge out, swap in like
Super
like
Mario
a
Brothers,
rally
Dr.
racer game
Mario.
or something and swap it back, and just for some reason it just kajiggers the RAM such that it just like it cancels out of the random encounter or something. It's crazy.
Yeah, like I saw a dude like replace a game with Dr. Mario and then plug the other one back. I'm like, what? How do you come up with this crap? Like,
Also,
most of them, like,
the speed at which they've done it is like, this is the 1,000th time you've done this. You've done this a lot, haven't
and
you?
you're like, you can just hear that poor Nintendo chunk chunk, and you're like, oh, the springs in that thing are just shot, man. But the Dragon Quest One run though, it's like just counting timing to the rhythm of the music is like insane.
Yeah,
It's
I need to
insane.
press B 36 times in order to get the random number generator. If I stray at all from this path, I'm screwed.
Yeah, the entire thing is over. But then you've got to be like, command, command, command. And it's like, oh, but he walked through that game. And I was just like, this is the greatest run I've ever seen in my life. But yes, that is Shivam's Dragon Quest Hour.
I knew you can talk a lot about your dragon lances, now Dragon
Well,
Quests. I'm fascinated at which the breadth of your
it
tastes.
turns out I like dragons.
Turns out.
Like I could talk about Dungeons and Dragons, Dragon Quest, Dragonlance, Dragon Strike, Dragon. I can't talk about Dragon Age because I don't like Western RPGs very much. But and I've got scars from Elder Scrolls Daggerfall that just make me not want to play any more Bethesda games. Dude, that game sucks. Anyway, playing in like
I got no skin in this game. You're fine.
Nobody's listening. It's okay. God, dude, I don't know. I'm still in awe of those swords. Like, how did you? So you get the Chris Ron artwork, and they show it to you, and then you have to like sit and try to figure out how to sculpt it out of resin, and then print it out and build LEDs and a handle and stuff, right?
Yeah, that's a good one to talk about in contrast to the statue, because it's diametrically opposed. You know, the statue's big, it's chunky. We get a lot of people to work on it. It's more about load bearing,
keeping the head steady
and the detail is less strict. You know, this thing needs to exist.
Yes.
With the sword, you know, the client is paying for something pretty pristine. We're treating these like our esports trophies. So, you know, I'm not necessarily the one that's doing the back and forth on the client side of that, but we'll talk to them and figure out what are the things that you need to have on this? What can we translate to real life? You know, do you want this exact orientation of the gems? If so, we need to like consider that it might not look good in 3D. So there's a lot of little things that they'll go back and forth. You know, anytime you see any physical object like that, you have to assume that the email chain was like 50 messages back and forth, like minimum for literally anything.
I've worked with them before, so like it's like people don't understand how fastidious art directors get about this sort of thing, because you need it to look good and it needs to look right so that the fan looks at this and says, "Yeah, that's exactly what I think it is."
So yeah, we'll go back and forth on that, and then usually we hire a man named Nicholas Fair, a 2D artist, and he'll kind of draw out the concepts and do it scaled such that a 3D artist can then you know, have the left, right, front profile and all that. And they can translate that into a 3D model. The swords are particularly difficult because they light up, which means, and if you look at that stand, there's nothing plugged into them. So we have to figure out where everything is going to fit. And we ordered
they have
like
to
a couple
light up independently when you hold it too, right?
Yeah. So there's a battery, a long LiPo battery housed in the handle, which is hollow. And it has to connect to some pretty delicately fished through wires that go up to some LED strips up through the blade. And we have to design it so there's a channel for those LED strips to go in. And we have to consider different types of resin because those LED strips get pretty hot. And if you leave it on for too long, we don't want the thing just...
that didn't even occur to me that, of course, light creates heat.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Especially when they're jammed up in when they're encased in plastic.
Yeah.
So this is something that's designed in 3D, and we go over and over and over. Like, is this enough
Like,
space? Can
how many iterations would you have actually physically made to like test this out when you're doing it?
It's more, I mean, the 3D can take anywhere from like several days to several weeks, depending on the project.
Mm,
But once we have that more or less figured out, the good thing is that if it's not quite exactly perfect, we can sand these things down. We can figure it out.
sure.
Oftentimes, our 3D modeler will say, hey, like, hey, ZBrush was being weird. There's a weird pinch point at the top there. Ignore that. Just sand it. I don't care. I wasn't spending another hour trying to fix something that's 2 millimeters.
Fair.
So yeah, we'll design it for 3D. For a lot of the larger scale, nicer 3D stuff, we'll outsource that to a 3D printing studio that
Mm,
does it in a really industrial resin.
mm.
It can really take a beating. And funny enough, they're the studio that prints out a lot of the like. Anytime a pop girl has like battle armor in a music video, which is quite a lot, they do those.
Sure.
They did Chapel Roan's crossbow.
Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah.
But so we have that studio, and there you have it. 3D, I think, is them. And they designed like an industrial resin piece. They send to us so that it's a lot higher quality. The handle is just cleaned up, and we send that out to California to get electroplated.
Mm,
So that's real metal on the swords.
mm.
They coat it in a I don't know their exact process, but they coat it in like
Uh,
a paint that can take like electricity, basically like a
yeah, and
copper
then
lime
have
paint,
electron
and
plating or
build it
nickel
up.
plating
And
on it.
yeah, so those
Yeah,
have a
'cause, like, that's
those
how,
have
like,
us
when you do, like, watch repair and stuff like that, they've got these chemicals that'll just bond the metal to the outside to give it a nice shine.
exactly. So that gets sent back to us. Meanwhile, once that's like going in to California, I'll usually work on the blades for that, and that's cleaning up a similar 3D print, but then we're molding and casting it, so then we can cast it out of clear resin.
Mm,
So like all of the swords have basically been the same. They've just been like a semi opaque resin to sort of have a
sure.
base color, and then I think for I didn't do much on the Feast and Famine, but for all the others, I'll usually go in and I have to design them to look good off or on, which
Mm,
is pretty tricky because the lights just blow out all the color you put on.
right,
But if you put on too much opaque paint, it looks bad when it's on. So
right.
you have to find a balance.
Yeah, you have to find some kind of way to make it, like, translucent so it still looks like red and blue for the Fire and Ice one, but then when you turn it on, it glows, and that's, like, because I've got a cosplay lightsaber that uses very similar electronics in order
Hmm.
to make the shiny thing. But yeah, getting that color to kind of stay when it's not on is hard. It's real
Yeah.
tricky.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like I'm looking at the sort of Fire and Ice right now, and I'm recalling that the decision I had to make was that the fire looks gorgeous when it's on because like
Yeah,
the black char is like
yeah, the
completely
tints.
opaque. And the ice blue is just like this vibrant blue, but when it's off, the fire, it's not lit up, so it looks just a little bit more toy like. And
Right.
the ice has this like nice like gradient of blue and the subtle like weathering, and it looks really cool when it's off. But it's just
I
that's just
mean,
has to
that's the
exist in
trade-off,
real
right?
life.
Like, it needs to look good when it's on, when they're getting it, and then it can look like whatever it wants to look like.
Exactly. And
Um,
that, 90% of its lifespan, 99.9% of its lifespan is going to be spent off anyways. So,
yeah.
but yeah, so it's a lot of different talents all sort of coalescing together and we figured out, who we can contact for 2D, for 3D, for industrial printing, for electroplating. We have our standard operating procedure for cleaning these things up, painting these things, and gluing them together in a way that's gonna last and gonna look good in the process. And it takes a lot of time and effort. And I say this with a lot of like love and understanding, and hopefully not any shred of bitterness, but it's something that you don't really think about when like you're seeing these statues and stuff at trade shows.
Mhm.
You don't really consider like a
Somebody had to be
person made
making that.
this, people made dozens of people made this.
Right.
And I hope people can just maybe just look at something in your life and go like, huh, someone had to make that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, like for instance, a bit ago, Vorthos Mike made a thread about like, hey guys, do you remember the box art that's like, or like the keyframe art for Magic cards, or like who's making the art on the pack, or the random like magazine ad or comic book or whatever. All of these other pieces of art that exist that somebody had to spend time doing. Like even when we go to these shows, like the all of the statues of the planeswalkers. Didn't you make like the Kaya and like
We
Huatli
did,
statues?
yeah. Kaya ghost walking out of a wall, and Huatli, which
Yeah,
we
like
got.
we see those in like the various Magic Cons all over the place, and nobody thinks about like, oh, this was willed into existence by somebody, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
because they look sick. They look unbelievably sick.
In which that is basically the job, is to make it look effortless, is to like, if you're thinking about that, it might come into question, like if it's not made well, if something's awkward about it. But if it's just cool, you're not going to think about that stuff. So if anything, like, I've done my job.
Yeah. I mean, that is like one of the problems of like being very good at like, it's like there's some jobs in the world where if you get any notice, you have failed at what you're doing, because nobody should be knowing that somebody made this. You should just be seamless and existing, right? Like we shouldn't think about like it should just be an object that exists. But that like I get it. I get the need for that, but at the same time, it's like you should be recognized for what you're doing. Like
Thank
the
you.
Pro Tour trophies rule, the swords rule. Somebody's like it is just as complicated to make the trophy for a cosplay as it is to make the cosplays themselves that win the trophy, right? Like you don't
I
get a
mean,
trophy for making a trophy.
listen, I'm not about to start sewing right now. It's I've done it before. I'm through. I'm good. I've sewn enough in my life. I have my wife do that, and I make her props, and then she also makes the props. So
Yeah, well, um, what was it like when you get to like go to a MagicCon and see all your statues just out there?
it's really validating. I don't get to pick and choose the projects I work on, so I've been very lucky that, like, I like Magic, I like, I like Elden Ring and things like that, and we've got to make statues for it. Um, but to see just a bunch of smiling folks with their butts in that seat
Mhm.
is really wonderful. And when they have the staff allocated to make sure that they can help people up and help them take photos, that's the stuff that really justifies, like, I don't know their mission statement, but I can imagine that they want to make it so that, like, yeah, when you come to MagicCon, you're not going to get this experience anywhere else. You're going to feel like you're
Mhm.
on Bloomborough in that set. Like, we have nothing to do
Yeah,
with those sets, and those are fantastic.
right.
So, they're really putting an effort to try and make sure that, like, this is memorable and this is unique. And that, that's the artistry of advertising, baby. Like, you don't really think about it, but
Exactly.
my favorite part of that thread that Mike did was, like, you don't think about this, but there is concept art for all of the art you see in Magic. So we have to hire artists to inspire other artists.
Right. Like I've talked to folks like Leon Leon Tucker, who has gone and drawn like a bunch of like concept art, and like they have these concept pushes where you basically have to go and take a bunch of artists, bring them to Wizards, and sit down with the creative team, and you have to like look at a blank page and out of nowhere decide what Zendikar looks like, or decide what Theros looks like. What is the costuming on like Tarkir? And someone has to think about that. An artist has to draw that, and then that art, and like you get like a 150-page book out of that that you then send to the artist and say like, I need you to make a 1/1 soldier that looks like they're wearing the armor on this page over here. And it's crazy. Somebody had to come up with that, but we never see those books because they're not public. They're never going to be public. But there's just infinite reams of art that somebody is dedicated making that allows the rest of this to exist, which is wild.
Yeah, no, my heart goes out to all the people that just, like, that. There's a lot of, like, dignity in just clocking in, doing the work, getting the paycheck, and, like, just producing art that is not necessarily meant to be seen or thought about or interfaced with or, credited or things like that.
Yeah, but it's also cool though, right? Like think about it.
Yeah.
You're building a whole foundation that other people are going to build a world out of. And there is a dignity to that. And it's also just really cool because like
Oh, yeah.
look, I know a lot of people who do things like there's people who like to work for an audience, and then there's people who like to show off to their peers. And I think that I like to think that those are the folks who end up being like the concept artists who are like, yeah, look, I don't care if the fans like it or not. But when my fellow artists are like, oh my God, I want to draw that, then you're like, yeah, okay, that's right.
Illustration is just magic to me. I can paint things that already exist. The doing something out of thin air like that is, I know it's just a skill like anything else, but my goodness, I can't even imagine.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. I've just been scrolling through your art for like an hour now, and I'm like very jealous of your skill, and also I want stuff. So it's so cool.
You let me
Uh,
know anytime.
this is amazing, man. Like, yeah, I've been working. I want to get my first cosplay model done. I've Satya from the Modern Horizons
Mm.
commander, who's like basically the energy commander with like the sock hat and everything. It looks super sick.
Oh, you
Um,
moved on from wanting to do the wasn't there a pyromancer of some sort you wanted to
yes,
do?
I do. Well, I mean, there was the not young pyromancer, but the
The handsome one.
yeah,
The
the
one
older
that
one.
looks like he could do a role in like RRR.
Yeah, exactly. The one who looked like my ideal version of me. But yeah, like, I mean, there've been a handful of people I've wanted to cosplay in Magic history, um, but it's like, it's hard, and also I don't have any talent. My
I
talent
see.
is in talking.
I would love to do more Magic cosplays, but like the other day I did a search for like Scryfall legendary male, sort by EDH rec, and I'm like, I don't want to do that one. He's got a big old bushy beard. Got a big old bushy beard. It turns out most of the legendary males that have just like armor
Mhm.
on, just like guys in armor, which is what I want to do, have like really long
Yeah.
beards, and I don't want to deal with that.
That that's actually true. We
It's
should talk to the
weird.
artist about that. That's kinda
I know,
weird.
right? Or maybe I should just commission some art with of like Stang with hair, because I'd do it in a heartbeat if I could. I don't feel like wearing a bald cap, even though he's like my favorite commander.
I mean, you could be, Nico. You've got the kind of hair and body shape to go get away with that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
The one I thought of the other day, because I've done the Wandering Emperor.
Mm,
Just she's androgynous, and
yeah.
not that that would restrict me or anything, but I like playing to my strengths.
Yeah.
And there was I forget her name. It's a legendary white creature from Dominaria. She's like the one of the captain of the guard. She's got like the stained glass armor, and she makes your like auras and
Danitha?
equipment one cheaper. Yes, Danitha.
Yeah.
Love her design, and you
Danitha
just put her hood
Capuchin is
up, and
amazing.
the stained glass armor in Dominaria is the
So good.
choicest concept
Oh,
art. I love it.
it is one of my all-time favorite things, like, just the shields having the stained glass going like,
Oh,
I have
so
a
good.
huge weakness for stained glass, so the Dominaria artwork for, like, the knights and stuff was just so good.
So
Mm.
good.
Anyways, God, man, I gotta say, though, like, what do you think has been your favorite thing to work on?
Hmm. That's a hard one.
Well, it
For
is
most
hard,
artists, it's usually going to be like the most recent thing they did.
right.
Actually, I do have an answer for the magic thing that
Okay.
I most enjoyed working on. This was something that we did for the Wizards in office
Mhm.
in Seattle.
Yeah.
And so they have like a meeting room that has a bunch of cool statues and things like that in it. And one of the things we did was a series of pests for Strixhaven. And so um, it's this beach ball sized glass terrarium, and there's a bunch of little pests in it. And one of the pests is sort of inspired by like a mantis shrimp, and it's the size of like, I mean, easily like two footballs. And it's in this terrarium, and so like I was the lead on that one. We had a sculptor who did it all by hand
Oh,
in
god.
clay. We molded and cast it, and painting wise, I just got to, because it just needed to look right. So there
Mhm.
wasn't an exact color scheme. So I just basically got a time frame, and my boss said just go to town. And so um like I got to do like a latex paint on like the face so that I could do like a two-tone and then peel the latex off and like mute it so it's got this like
Oh, that's
stripy
amazing.
like color on it. I got to do all these gradients and dry brushing. The eyes had like a mesh overlaid on it, so I sprayed such that it has like kind of a fly pattern to it. It's just, I just got to go crazy. And
Yeah,
then
that's so cool.
I had to, we originally it was going to be filled with water, but when we did a test for it, it just shattered because the weight of it was just too
Oh,
much. We did
no.
this like fake rubber water, so we had to make an empty terrarium, and so
Oh.
we had a couple of days, and it's like, figure something out, Kyle. So I just had to uh, put it together, and we got like terrarium stuff from like a pet supply store and like a bunch of flocking, and I still made like a puddle out of like a little bit of the rubber water, so there's like a little pest who's like half suspended in it. And it's just, I always love the stuff that is a lot of different things coming together. You can't see it in the picture that I have, but it's the top of it is a big like wooden cork, and there's like the whatever the black green school is in Strixhaven is etched on
Ah,
that.
good, it's I cannot remember exactly
I
what
know.
it
And
was,
usually
man.
I'm pretty good about the Strixhaven
Oscar?
schools,
No,
but
that's a set.
yeah.
Let's see. There was Boros, but it wasn't Boros. It
I
was
know. The problem is I'm like, Golgari, no.
Witherbloom, something
Golgari,
Bloom,
no.
Witherbloom, right?
Witherbloom, yes. It
Something
has
like
the
that.
Witherbloom logo on it.
Yeah. I was just like, why am I blanking on this? Oh yeah, because I literally only used it in Strixhaven because we just call it like not Boros or
Right.
not Golgari. Anyways,
So
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
go
my favorite stuff is just it's either anything that uses a lot of just disparate talents and skills and mixed media, or Chrome Gold, whichever comes first.
reasonable and fair.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know, man. I'm in awe of the stuff you've made. I think this just looks amazing, and thank you so much for sharing. This is
Yeah.
really really cool.
No, it's so very flattering, Shivam, and I know it's kind of your job to be professionally excited about things,
Yeah,
but
you know what? People say that to me, but it's like literally, this is just how I am.
that's fair. That's fair, and I'm very tickled that I get to just make stuff for a game that I like. It's hard. It's a lot of physical labor around toxic chemicals.
Have you had any
Um,
like catastrophic fails?
oh, I mean, all the time. Um, it's like I will brag at least that like we've always made our deadlines at work. We'll make something
Yeah.
happen if we have to. But like, I mean, stuff won't cure properly. Stuff will like they said, we'll fill a glass terrarium and not realize that that's like 80 pounds of fluid and it'll shatter,
Oh,
and we have to come up with something. Um,
mm,
and it's every day. Like the when I was talking earlier about like I want to stop learning, that was because we were dealing with a new material, silver nitrate, spraying a silver solution on something so it looks like an exact mirror finish.
mm.
And it's a chemical process, and there's just so much that goes into learning that like I know how to drive, and now I'm having to learn stick shift when it comes to painting these things, because it's close, but it's different and it's humbling. And so some days you're just like, I just, please, I'm so anxious. I just want this to work. Please. We have a lot of things that we cast that are like, this will cure in 48 hours.
Oh god.
And you just have to sit there
You have
over
to
the weekend
pray and
and just
watch.
hope when I open this up on Monday, please don't have a bubble in it.
Oh god. Oh my god, yeah. Have you had any times when like the clients have been like, "Yo, this your coloration is off and you need to go back and fix that?" Because like I know these
Yeah.
people get real picky about their brand.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like I mean,
I mean,
I'll
maybe I'm
just
sure, but like,
broadly speaking, I mean, we can usually get it before it goes out, but
yeah,
it'll be a lot of things that are like, the client is confused about a color, and we're like, but this you said in the email right here.
yeah, fair. Should have thought
um,
about that before we
did
cast
you?
the present,
But and there's only so much we can really push back on that,
right?
or maybe they get fussy, and it's like, oh, this doesn't really quite look right. I mean, this is working with literally any client in any type of
Yes.
field. You're gonna
Yeah.
have your good days and your bad days,
Yeah.
and
Mhm. Mhm.
and also just like it's difficult because there's an expectation of like in real life sometimes the colors just literally don't work that way,
Right.
and it isn't until we send an update that the client's like, oh,
It's like,
okay.
guess what, dude? This physically is not possible. Light doesn't work like that.
Hmm.
Good luck.
And we just we roll with the punches, and
Yeah.
like I said, some days like everything in retrospect you're like, that was pretty cool, or like even trophies where I'll see the 2D design, I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen, and then when it's together I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool actually.
Well, I mean, I guess that's just the nature of the gig, right? Like sometimes it's
Hmm.
just gonna look weird, and then it's done, and everybody's like, you know what, man, it looks awesome. So who cares? Let's just
Yeah,
roll.
and you have to be able to like pick like a thing you liked about a project, or you're just gonna be miserable all the
Right.
time. So
Yeah.
there are projects where I'm like, I didn't like that, but I was happy with the finish I did on that, or like the
Mhm.
gem I did on that one was pretty cool, and maybe we'll get to do the version of it that I think would be really cool for the next project. So
I agree. Yeah. But I mean, I've worked in a lot of marketing and with a lot of like clients and stuff, and I know that feeling in my heart. Sometimes you're just like, look, dude, it looks awesome to us. So good luck with that. The worst I think I ever had is that when I was working at Tony, I was working on the launch trailer for Gran Turismo 5 that was going to go out for E3. And we had to send it back and forth to Japan every edit we did to get approved. But the only way to do that was to send it over FTP. And it
oh
took
my
something like
goodness.
17 or 18 hours because it was like 50 gigs or of space back then before we had like fiber optic instantaneous everything.
Yeah, and that's not compressed or anything
No,
too.
it's
So, oh my
uncompressed
goodness.
raw over FTP, and it takes like 2 days for them to get it. Then they have to download it, look at it, stare at it, and send back their notes the next day. And it's like we have to just like get it whenever it comes out and be like, oh god, there's color bleeding on this one.
I mean, and
Anyways.
if there's any client that can get things to you like quickly and without any degree of fuss, it's a large Japanese corporation. So,
Yeah, boy, let me tell you, when we're talking about people who are definitely not the most fussy people on the planet, Sony PlayStation. Anyways, that being notwithstanding, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been a fantastic conversation, and I'm just in awe of what you do, and I'm really, really grateful that you shared it with us.
well, thank you, Shivam. I'm just happy to be able to share this, to put a face to
Yeah,
something
'cause
that's affected a lot of people.
literally, I had no idea that you were the guy who made the Whatley thing, and like I've sat on that 1,000 times,
Yeah,
or like
and
4
it's
times.
I'm one of many. Like the guy that did the skin tones literally does makeup for Tyler Perry Studios, or at least
So that's
did.
sick.
You know,
That's
because we
cool.
wanted to get the skin tones right. So.
Yeah. All right. So, if folks wanted to find you and see these cool pictures and stuff, where could they go?
You can find me on the internet on a number of places. So online, my handle is Cute Monster Props. That's where I post all of the stuff that I do for Vulpin Props, my day job. That's where I post about my prizes for GDQ. I have a little shop for trinkets and tchotchkes if you like. If you thought I was sort of funny or interesting, I have a podcast as well called Brain Lords, where we talk about video games by artists for artists.
Oh,
And yeah,
like what?
it's so we did an episode the other day about what if each Final Fantasy was the final Final Fantasy, where we talk about the legacy of each game if you had to look at it as though it were the last one. Um,
Mm.
you
Well,
know,
if it was Final Fantasy 2, we would be very sad.
see the thing we came up with is if it was Final Fantasy 2, we'd be having a debate on whether or not 2 or 1 was the best one.
1 is the best one, easy peasy. It's
If you're only comparing it to 2, though, like 2 did some cool stuff, even if it's a janky game. It was
fine,
the
I will give you
two.
that.
2 is what gave us chocobos and what gave us.
Yeah, like that's the thing. You can't like even the worst like Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest game still gave you something unbelievably sick.
2 was the
like,
first one with politics in it.
yeah, I mean, it was the first one with a story that
Yeah, with
actually
a
was a
story.
right?
So
Like,
I'm not about to sit down and play that game,
no,
but
I mean,
I'll sing its praises.
well, the thing is, because like I have this theory that there was this lineage of games from 3 to 5, like 2 to 3 to 5 to tactics of like the job progression system getting better and better until it reached its like peak at tactics and 12, and then you're like, oh my god, it's never going to get better. And like I guess the dress sphere system, but anyways, that's for a different podcast and a different life of mine. In any event, as always, my friends, you guys can find me at Shivam Bhatt on Blue Sky. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are sold, or at YouTube every Tuesday, thanks to my editor, Dan. You can also hear me on the Shivam Wheeler Love Magic podcast or the Chronicles of Dragonlance podcast. And remember, my friends, it's not magic without the gathering, and we'll see you next time.